Bobby, such a pleasure to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a huge responsibility. It's a big state. You run a very prominent medical center. Help us learn what encompasses Texas Medical Center.
Well, the Texas Medical Center, there are three things that you can reference when you're talking about the Texas Medical Center. One, it's a geographic campus of almost 2,000 acres of a medical city, if you will, with some of the biggest names in the life sciences. So the second reference are the 54 institutions that make up and comprise the Texas Medical Center. So those are places like MD Anderson, the world's largest hospital, the #1 ranked cancer hospital in the world, Baylor College of Medicine, Rice University, Methodist Hospital, Texas Children's Hospital, the world's largest children's hospital, the Memorial Hermann System, the largest veterans hospital in the United States, the Michael E. DeBakey Hospital, Texas Children's Hospital, the largest children's hospital in the world. So it's the institutions that make it up. And then I work for a corporation that owns the land and oversees the operation of the medical center as a whole, that looks after the infrastructure, not only the physical infrastructure, but programmatic infrastructure. And that's called the Texas Medical Center Corporation. So we're like the municipal government for this large medical city that has over 100,000 employees.
So as a CEO of such a big institution, the challenges are twofold as I see it. One is running it as a corporation. Mm-hmm. The other is dealing with the medical needs and where they become your client, mm-hmm. and their clients obviously are the patients. What are the challenges that you face every day? If you name a couple of those, so we can understand from your perspective, the CEO, the issues you have to address every day.
Well, I think that they're just like running a city. All the things that are common to city life, which is thinking about the security of the institution, the campus, is of course really important. Thinking about transportation and the traffic and congestion around ingress and egress from the medical center, because it can be, it's a large, very advanced place, and it sometimes can be intimidating. So in terms of signages and developing new technologies that can be used by mobile devices for applications that help with wayfinding and things like that. So those are all important things. And then, we're prone to floods here, and there was a large flood in 1996 that really devastated the medical center. So there's been a lot of work on looking for strategies for mitigation from flood damage. So those are sort of what I call the physical infrastructure needs, and communication to not only amongst the member institutions, but also to the outside world, the patients, referring physicians, and the community. And then the area that I'm really excited about is the programmatic infrastructure that we're developing to promote collaboration and cooperation between the member institutions. So for instance, there are 5 areas that we focused on: health policy, genomic medicine, regenerative medicine and stem cell biology, innovation, how one gets an idea from the back of a napkin to a commercial product. I think there's a huge opportunity in Houston to compete with Boston, San Francisco, Singapore, Delhi, London, Shanghai in terms of this innovation and new discovery. And then the 5th area is around clinical trials. You can't get a new medical device or a new drug approved and into the treatment of patients without testing it in human subjects. And the Texas Medical Center is the site for where more clinical trials are done than any single site in the world. It's also the place where more cardiovascular procedures are done, more patients with cancer are treated, and more organ transplants are done.
You spent more than 2 decades at Stanford. UCSF is close by,
Right.
Pretty known name for as a medical center. When you do an analysis of what works well for those institutions, and you bring that knowledge base here, are there some parallels to be drawn, and where do you think are the challenges for you?
Well, I think there was a brief period where there was a merger of UCSF and Stanford around the medical center. That, of course, didn't last very long. It was about a 2-year period where we tried to work together. But it was really a clash of cultures, a public institution trying to merge with a private institution, and the cultures just didn't work, and it was sort of a top-down decision, and it was never really discussed from the grassroots level. So, for instance, they tried to combine the cardiac surgery program at one place with the cardiac surgery program at the other. So there are a lot of lessons that can be learned from that in the approach that I'm taking to try to get people to work together in the medical center. And I'm focused on research and education programs. By definition, researchers and educators are more collaborative than clinicians. And it's not that the clinicians aren't collaborative, but it's that there is intense competition for patients. And in this current fee-for-service model, the hospitals are very competitive with each other. Now, on many things like things that we share best practices around infection prevention, management of sepsis, latest protocols and techniques around heart transplant programs. We have 3 heart transplant programs within a 2-minute walking distance of each other inside the medical center. There are several states that don't even have one transplant program. So we're blessed with an abundance of riches, and there is cooperation and collaboration on the clinical side around certain areas. But on the research side, there's more opportunity to have the best and brightest minds come together, because research is very expensive and very specialized. So there are economies of scale that can be had around facilities and equipment and knowledge sharing that I think will be important for these 5 strategic areas.
I want to learn from you what constitutes or goes into making a research center world-class research center, and the example is a classic one here, the Anderson Center. If you look back, just over a decade ago, it was, well, it was known once, but not the way it is now, especially in the cancer. What do you think, so we can learn from you, that gives the impetus to make it the institute that has become to reckon with?
Well, I think just like with any endeavor, it's the people. So you have to have good people. You have to have bright, visionary, energetic people that can focus on a common goal and buy into a common vision and culture for the institution. So people would be by far the greatest asset. But I also think that you have to have a culture of teamwork, because most major discoveries and most impactful and sustainable discoveries are made by teams. There's no question you have to have individual greatness, but in order to make the really big blockbuster discoveries, it's my opinion you need teamwork, because one individual can't do it by themselves. And it needs to be multidisciplinary. And you see this in terms of, for instance, the space program in Houston that got a person on the moon. That was a massive team of people from many different disciplines, engineers, physicists, communications people, transportation, fuel people, all coming together for that common goal. So MD Anderson, for instance, their leader, Dr. Ron DePino, is focused them around moonshots to cure cancer. So I think you have to have strong, bold, visionary leaders who can get buy-in from the people in the institution, and together they execute the vision. I think that's fairly straightforward model for success with any of them. And you have to have resources. And again, we're blessed with resources, because for doing the research, you have to have fundamental basic science discovery. But in order for that basic discovery to become meaningful to us as individuals and make the world a better place and humanity healthier and more vibrant and be able to thrive, you have to translate those discoveries into practical commercial products. So here there are 7,000 hospital beds, or 7 million patient encounters a year. At the other places in California, it would be less than a tenth of that in each individual institution.
When you talk about research and contribution and at an intellectual level, Indians have been doing amazingly well. Not just, you come from Silicon Valley, you have seen the contributions in Silicon Valley in terms of IT, entrepreneurship, professionalism, and even in investment. But now when I see there are more than 3,000 IITians who live in the Greater Houston area. So your thoughts on the world-class conference we put together and the IITians' contribution to the regional area?
Well, this is a simply amazing conference with a collection of great thought leaders and experts. And we are proud to have the conference be here in Houston for the first time. We hope you come back. I think this is a very special place in terms of at least 3 areas. We've talked about the differentiation of the Texas Medical Center being the largest medical center in the world, but I think there are 3 important sectors that make Houston what it is. It's the energy sector, obviously. It's the undisputed leader in energy. And it's not just because there are a lot of oil wells and gas wells here, but it's the intellectual and infrastructure that makes it the world leader. Engineers, policies, procedures, and infrastructure that others from other countries can learn from around how to run energy. And then there's a space program that we spoke about, and then there's the Texas Medical Center. So in the area of space, aerospace, energy, and life sciences, there's no other city that I'm aware of in the world that have those 3 assets in one location in a very friendly, pro-business, very thriving economy in a pioneering entrepreneurial spirit that Texans have. So I think it's you're only going to see, in my opinion, Houston grow, and hopefully this conference come back here, because I think it's an ideal location for collaboration between Houstonians and India, but also of all the IIT members in the United States, and particularly we're proud to have so many here in Houston.
Thank you, Robbie. Appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.